Eyes wide open. Start with a plan, then iterate as you go. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. I'm with the IdeaPros marketing team, and today I have a special guest for you. I am excited to introduce Jeromy. Hello, Jeromy.
Hey.
Hey, so you're an Idea Pro over at with us at IdeaPros. How's everything going for you?
Well, to be honest with you, Tessa, I'm actually sad.
Sad?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, for 2 weeks, I've probably interviewed over 25 plus people. And I'm just really sad.
Sad about talking to people? I don't think I've ever heard that.
I know, it feels crazy to say that. No, it's just I've heard so many good ideas over the last 2 weeks. So many great moments where people had this experience in their life and they've come up with this great ideas to solve problems in the world, ideas to help improve certain aspects of business. And it's like they're walking around with their eyes wide shut.
No, eyes wide shut. I mean, I know we use that as our title, but what do you mean by that?
Yeah, no, it's like okay, I love it. I love this idea. I think it's amazing. Let's talk about this. And I address things that every investor needs to hear. Every business lender needs to hear, every friend or family that wants to put money into this really great idea. And it just falls apart in a minute. It's kind of like, wait, isn't my idea good enough? Can't we just work off my idea and make this happen, Jeromy? And it's like, no, we can't. We need to look at this holistically as something that goes from idea to execution. Mm-hmm. And this is what our company's set up to do. It's to help people take their idea and get it to market, get the idea executed.
It sounds like they're kind of stuck in that idea phase and they're not going forward with it.
Oh,
right?
It's so painful. It's and the reason I think that I picked this idea of eyes wide open is it's like I bring up questions and I ask very critical conversational things that are like, love it, got the idea. Let's go through the things that need to be understood. Tell me about this story and idea. They do a pretty decent job up front. And then we go down and I go, okay, tell me about the solution here. Give it to me. Like, let's go through problem, solution, market. Tell me about the market, the way you understand it. Give me the team. Who's the team? Who's going to get this thing going with us? What are the projections? Take me through the numbers, And then it's like, what have you done to date? And how much money do you think you need to get this thing done? And everything gets very mute and I get sad again. It's like,
I think that they have the idea, they know what they came up with, but it's very hard for them to get the next, like you said, all of those. We actually call it the big 8, like the big 8 things that you need to have figured out. But it's true. They don't know how to communicate it because they haven't figured that part out, right? They just want to kind of stay in the idea phase. So
I think that's a super important point you're making. And I love that you brought up the big 8 because, the whole idea of this little tear sheet, it's so critical. It's one piece of paper. It's just one simple thing. And it's one series of context that I feel like everyone should be prepared with their idea to talk to anybody about. It's not like, hey, I'm reaching out to these idea professionals and people that invent things. But that whole point of getting stuck right in the journey, and that whole feeling is what I was sad about. It's like that point where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. We're going on this trip. And then it's like, okay, take me through the itinerary. And it's like, there's no itinerary yet.
You talked about this though. You went around and backpacked around the world without knowing where you're going to go next. So, I mean, obviously there's some people who can do that, but most people need to know where they're going to be next. They need that structure, right?
Like a basic plan. Like, what's a plan? I think it's so easy and verbal. So yeah, I love you
I just wanted to show this because you were saying like it's a tear sheet. We have a tear sheet of the big 8. So if you were curious and you want it, let us know in the chat. Just put big 8 and I will send you this worksheet over so you can start to think through it. But I think there's a lot more to this than just what you saw there. So do you want to walk us through what that looks like?
I think that's kind of where this sadness is emerged from. It's not just all the business plans and the financials we can write. I think this whole idea of start with a plan and then iterate as you go. The emotional connection I have with people and the emotional connection I have with their idea, it's the sadness a lot of times is not just the preparedness, but I think a lot of people aren't prepared for what it takes. And they don't like me right now, Tessa, because I feel like I'm like this bearer of bad news because, it's almost like I want to start with something like, listen, the next thing I'm about to say is you're probably going to hate me because the context is, I don't know if you're the type of person that's prepared to make the sacrifices and the commitment to your idea. And when I tell them it's not going to be easy, they don't like me that much.
Well, I think they still like you. It's just when most people don't want to hear that it's going to be harder or that that's part of life for entrepreneurs. But you and I are both entrepreneurs. We know this is the case.
It's not going to be easy. But I think the most important point of it all is, but it's your idea. It's your thing. You're going to have so much more feeling of reward, win or lose, that you put the efforts into manifesting this idea and bringing it to the world. And the journey you're going to go on and the journey your idea is going to take you on is going to be so rewarding as you go through it. You might find the rewards within 12 months. It might take you 10 years. It doesn't matter, but it's your idea and it's your commitment to your concept. And what we're prepared to do is prepare you for that journey. So, that's kind of the reward. That's sort of the happy thing at the end of some of these really great conversations I've been in with everybody.
Well, and I have to say, you in the chat, everyone who's watching, and I know we have people over on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Let me know if you're the type that's going to see your idea through no matter what. Because I was telling Jeromy before we hopped on today, I'm like, this group that shows up here is committed. I know they are, but you guys let us know in the chat if you're committed to making your idea come to life. And if you've experienced some of the same things that Jeremy's talking about, like this kind of overwhelm in the stage of trying to figure out what to do next. What I love about Jeromy, though, is that he knows how to help people get from point A to point Z. He's built products. He knows how to do this, So when he's coaching people, he's helping you see for your own specific plan, like your own specific needs, what you need to do next. So can you talk a little bit about that, how you're helping people right now?
Yeah, well, Tessa, what you said, what I would love to do, because, the last couple weeks have been really seeing where people are stuck. Mm-hmm. Seeing where they're hung up in the process. And, I would say from our experience, collectively between Fred, myself, the whole team, there's hundreds of years of experience here. Yes. There's hundreds of years of knowledge. And in a lot of times, I wouldn't call it a shortcut, but I think where we can quickly identify where someone's stuck and move them down the field, that maybe they're fumbling the ball, and we can tidy up the process of the handoff. Like, hey, look, We're going to go drill a little bit, you know, like sometimes we need to take a minute where we're stuck and go drill that out of our behavior, drill that out of our mind, because some things that seem counterintuitive a lot of times are what was just missing, because we have these baked in ideas of how things should work. And a lot of times they do work this way. We're just stuck. We start rationalizing. We start making excuses for why this doesn't work for me. And it works for everybody else, but why is it not working for me? And you know, it's not fair to them. And that's why I get sad, Tessa, because I'm like, no, wait. You've probably heard 20 no's on this journey. There is a yes at some point in this journey that comes behind it. So let's get out of that frame. Let's reframe this. Let's take a new perspective of it, you know? And, you know, interestingly, I think what we're doing a great job of right now is helping people in that area where they're stuck the most. And where they stuck the most, it seems to be in funding. It seems to be in, I can't get this app finished, or I can't get my prototype done because I really need money.
Yes.
Well, but that was an affliction for them. That's something that's like been held on to for so long, that they have these preconceived notion of how money moves around the world and how to get access to money. And I think we nailed it on the head recently, you know, as we kind of went back to the drawing board as a team, and we said, where are people really, that with hundreds of partners, hundreds of alliances, it's like, where are we finding the most pain right now, whether they're ready to go to market or they're at the beginning point and they need the seeding to get the performas built or certain venture capital. But we keep resonating back to, wow, how long has this person been stuck with their funding strategy, and how can we help move them down the field and unpack that? And obviously we've had some great success and case studies recently starting to emerge, and we're starting to crack the code more with people. So yeah, I would love.
I think, but you always need money for your business. I mean, you need it to sustain, to grow. I mean, money is crucial to any business. So I think that no matter where they are at in the process, they're going to have to be raising funds. But even if you don't think of it that way, if you just think about it, communicating your business and what you do, everything that's in the big 8 is the core of marketing too. You can't market, you can't sell if you don't know these core things about your business, no matter what. If you're selling to an investor, or you're selling to a customer. So I think this is critical. If you guys haven't had a chance to sit down with Jeromy and talk through, we do have we have the Pitchcraft coming up, which talks about how to get intrigue and to get people to lean in on your idea, right? And so Pitchcraft, I'll make sure that you guys have a link to that. And then you can also book a session with Jeromy so he can help you, guide you in how to make that plan and put it together, right, Jeromy?
Yeah, no, you know, we were, well, so I feel like we could take two paths right now together. We could just keep talking, and I could keep sharing stories about, you know, ways of getting unstuck, you know?
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, we could share that, or we could, if there's anybody out there, because, you know, we could take some inquiry to share, maybe if it helps the audience or helps anybody out there, we could talk through where they might be stuck and see if we can kind of break down those.
Oh, I like it. I like both of these. Yeah, I like both of these paths. So if you're stuck, or you feel like you're stuck right now in getting your product idea going or launched, whatever that might be, tell me in the chat. Tell us in the chat. We're keeping an eye out right now. Let us know where you're stuck at. And while you're doing that, I'm just curious, do you have some general ideas for us about how to get unstuck in general as people are typing? I think that one thing that you've already said is talking to people who've been there. So one way to get unstuck is to start getting the advice that you need from the people who've been there already.
Right. No, I love that. So, okay. So I feel like we could go down there. Let's just keep talking. Because, you know, and why do I say that, Tessa? Because one, like our idea, like our part, like new customers that we've been interviewing around the clock, I myself am an entrepreneur, and I can relate to them. And I think that's probably the funnest part of this opportunity and working now at IdeaPros, is that I really can empathize and understand where people are at. I truly can. I just got back. I guess I left early. So I was at ISC, the International Security Conference, bringing one of my patent innovations to the world. I want to be on these phone calls all week helping other entrepreneurs, but I also can't neglect the struggle that I'm also in. Right. So, look, got the family, got the friends. I want to be playing pickleball most of the time these days. But, it's that commitment to the idea, getting up, get out to the conference, get networked, get social. It's work, it's rigor. It takes a lot of passion and purpose for our own idea. And I think that purpose-driven intention, it's relatable, and we're all in it together. Like, that's why I really do love. And, and high five, because I just am understanding this tool. I see Francois out there too. He's just, to me, a great story right now, and I think we connected at a really good level. It's, we had this strong conversation around, are you ready to do what needs to be done? Because this is your idea.
Yeah, I have to just put this up because he's 100% committed to making this happen. And I think I hear that in the conversations that, I've had with him. I know you have too. So he's committed. Yeah. He's getting out there and doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, and I think my agenda with this conversation too is, it really does start with a plan, in my opinion. Anything we do in life starts with a plan. And I think the next theme, and something that will emerge, and something I've shared and I've been talking to a lot of people about, is you got to plan. So start there at least, right? Mm-hmm.
Right. And then iterate as you go. We're not necessarily talking like 100-page business plan. Like, when we say plan, we mean like steps that you can accomplish, right? Like, first you're going to do this, then you're going to do this.
You're always learning by doing as an entrepreneur, to me. You're always learning by what you're doing. It's not what's perceived, it's what's achieved. And these little benchmarks on the journey are so vital to who we become in the process of realizing our idea. Again, I think the plan is your first step. The next step is to go do as many things within that plan that you have at that moment in time, and follow, what's my next action? What's my next action? What's my next action? And then revisit that. So, the idea of our theme today of iterate as you go. Don't get locked in. Don't become a victim to your own idea. Just keep moving and pushing. It's not easy. It's gonna have, you're gonna get a lot of rejection, as we all know. It's those no's that start to accumulate in our brain, and it's that rejection that we have to constantly push through as entrepreneurs. And we have to keep believing in ourselves, and we have to keep adding people to our team. I love when people find us in their journey, because I do fundamentally think that the network of people and the team we have that they get to tap into is there as, we've kind of positioned this language as a trusted advisor, and a lot of it we're doing, for partners, they're obviously in, but people that are new to the program or new to meeting us, they're getting this eyes wide open conversation with me, and or with a combination of Fred, and or a combination with whoever's got a minute to jump on a phone with someone with a good idea. And honestly, some people with a bad idea after a conversation turns into a good idea.
Right. It's Fred actually did a show. He said, bad ideas and millionaires have in common. Like, you guys have to see the show because it is pretty funny. But I think, whether it's a pivoted bad idea or it's just a great idea as it is, it's an evolution. And I want to say evolution because you're reiterating, you're changing, you're pivoting as needed, because sometimes we get too attached to the original idea that we had. Even just this Friday live, I know you guys know I've been on here for like 6 years, and Jeremy's like, I have some really good ideas for what we can do. And I have to, you have to always be open to new things. So you guys are going to see Friday lives are going to pivot a little bit and change to be more helpful and more exciting for you, just like we have to do with our products, with our apps, with our ideas. I do want to say, though, that we have some people in the chat. William he actually has a product, Goliath High Rise Sports Chair. He's one of our oldest partners. I love him to death. 8 years he's been working on this sucker, and it's literally we see it come to life. I literally can see it on his Facebook feed right now. So you guys have to tune into that. And I just wanted Jeromy to kind of experience William too. I call him Bill, but he's amazing. And it takes time. I think people come and they expect something fast. I mean, do you hear people say that, Jeromy? Like, when can I get this started and get is that a month or two? I mean, this is a process.
Yeah. I think one of the things I think we've learned over time, and I've talked ad nauseum with Fred about, is, and I think this relates to the business itself for us, is the idea is like, people are at different stages and places in their journey. And we've really got to with our own approach, even, right? We're constantly iterating. We're constantly reinventing ourselves. And how can we be better? How can we be more effective for our own partners, our own team, our own people? And how can we extend that back out? And I think a big commitment that we recently found out, right, is that, look, we have people that are at the beginning of their idea that need tools. So we're going to work diligently. I love the entrepreneur spirit, right? Fred is a great example. This is a vital workshop. Everyone needs to have it. He wants it tomorrow. We're all like, it's going to take us about a month, maybe two. But that inception point of staying flexible and moving fluid with the needs of your customer and the needs of your partners and the needs of your alliances, it may not happen overnight. But we know we've gotten a very clear why we should be doing this. And you see this across all businesses, especially new ones, right? And you said it earlier, we have to prepare ourselves to pivot, to move where the market moves us, to move where maybe channel partners come along and move us. Are we happy about that? I don't know. Happiness is a choice. Do we see the outcome and the efforts that could result in revenue for us? Probably a vital step, So I think the idea of always be prepared to iterate, always be open-minded to think a little bit different along the journey, but don't let it break your focus. Don't let it break your core value proposition to the marketplace, the problem you're solving in the market, what you're doing a little bit better than the other products out there. And stick to that, but don't be afraid, I would say a lot of times, to identify and be honest with where you're stuck, because once we get unstuck, we get back moving again. And I think action's everything in this game of business. And some people just, again, back to my sadness. I don't want people sad.
I feel bad. I just had a cloud go over and it got really dark, and Jeremy's talking about sadness, and I just felt so depressed just now. I'm like, I have to turn on a light. Oh my goodness. So, it was perfect timing though. So now that I have some light on the subject, I think the lighter side of what we're talking about today anyway is that you can have help. And Jeromy is a great ear. He has great brainstorming, sessions. So I'm going to give you guys a couple links. I know, Sean, I saw you asking what Bill's website is. Hopefully Bill can put it in there for you, because I'm not exactly sure what it is right now. I do have a Facebook post where you can go see his product, though. I will put that in the chat. But I'm going to give you guys the link for Pitchcraft, which is one of the workshops that Jeromy was talking about. We'll have more as well that are evolving, obviously, that Fred's working on. But Pitchcraft's a great starting place of how you communicate your idea and get the interest right away. I'm also going to put a link in for you to book a session with Jeromy if you're interested in figuring out your plan, working on your big 8. out your next step. And that is just ideapros.com/session, I believe, right? I think so.
Yeah.
So you can book a time if you're serious. And I want to say, Jeromy is, you have to be committed. If you're kind of like, I am 50% in on doing this idea, maybe it's not good to book with Jeromy because he's going to challenge you and really call you out if you're not 100% in. If you're 100% in and this is something you seriously want to look at making happen, book a time with Jeromy and he's going to be able to give you a lot of insight. And we have the worksheet. So if you want the Big 8 worksheet, Jeromy I don't even have to ask for an email or anything. He's just like, give it to people, let them start thinking through these topics. So I will put that link in the chat for you all as well. And I know that it's coming up on the bottom of the hour and we're committed to stopping in time. So before we leave, while you have Jeromy and his knowledge here, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, but I'm just going to open it up if you guys have a question. Jeromy, I have one really quick one for you.
Yeah, this has turned into the Jeromy Tessa show.
It is.
Listening, we apologize.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry.
Fine. Well, it takes a while it's delayed for them to type too. So I ask a question and then we come back to it. But Jeromy, how long have you been an entrepreneur? I'm just curious.
Oh, that's a fun question. I don't know. So I got started at 13 with paper routes in a little town called Ojai. I ended up making mopeds with my brother, so we could actually take on 3 paper routes at once.
Whoa!
Paper routes based on your ability to get on a bike and or sit on the back of your parents' car, and so they only give you 1 route. So what me and my brother figured out was we hustled a route out of another kid. So we figured with a moped, my brother was like 11 at the time, I was 13. With these pedalet mopeds, we could cover 2 routes with our own names on them, and then we hustled another guy out of his route and just cut him in on a couple dollars here and there. It started young, yeah. Then
wow, that's impressive. I
would say, yeah. I'm going on 40 years here, but
that's exciting. Well, I do think it's a bug that you have from the beginning. Like you want something different. So you want to be able to have freedom, or you want to be able to have no cap or make your own income. Like there's a lot of reasons why we start this. Was it money when you started? You wanted more money.
Yeah. It was my first experience of scale.
Oh,
yeah, it was like a real life, like it was out of survival, right? It was out of need or desire, but it was like, okay, because we had to sit around, we're like, dude, if we're making this much, how can we get to this much? And so we had to innovate. It was my first step in innovation, and it was a highly illegal move because unfortunately, like you weren't supposed to be riding these mopeds around until you were like, I think 15. So it's actually how we lost. No, it's how we lost the job too. It was yeah. So it was a learning lesson at a young age. Like, look, there's criteria here. So
you have to follow some rules. I mean, but kudos to you for coming up with such a great idea to scale. We don't have any questions. Maybe they're just so all happy with what we said today so far. So guys, if you do have topics or any conversations that you want us to have, I hope that Jeromy will be a more regular visitor on our shows anyway. But if you do have questions or topics that you want us to cover, any burning, challenges that you're having, let us know in the chat as always. And we hope to see you all next week. Have a blessed week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.